this might be legitimately the worst UFC card of all time. This goes beneath Apex Slop, you know what I mean? Because this is an Apex card, but it's even worse than your usual Apex Slop. And it really sucks because Gamrot versus Quillan Salkilld is one of the better and more interesting 50-50 main events we have had so far in 2026. But there's guys in this card that, you know, you didn't even know were in the UFC anymore. I mean, Billy Q is fighting Diego Ferreira in the fucking co-main. That sounds like a made-up sentence. Darren Elkins is in a fucking feature fight. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard. And then there's a lot of nobodies on here. Steven Asplund's on here, though. So at least we have that. There's like 2 or 3 fights to actually look forward to. But let's talk about Gamrot versus Quillan Salkilld because, again, this is one of the more interesting main events of 2026. It's probably one of the few main events where I've been totally split on. I mean, you could talk me into either one of these guys. If you want to say Gamrot's going to put on a masterclass, I could see that. Or Quillan Salkilld's going to chin this guy within 3 rounds. Anything is possible. But I just think Gamrot's going to get him. I think this is a little bit of a massive step up for Quillan Salkilld. Not a little bit. That doesn't really make any fucking sense. But it is easily the best guy that he has fought. And I pushed propaganda for both of these guys for a long time. I said 2026 was going to be the year of pushing Gamrot propaganda, and I can't stop here. Now, Quillan Salkilld, I've been a fan of this guy since he came up in the Contender Series, been reposting his edits before the inventor of sex, Agartha thing ever existed. But I just think Gamrot's going to get him. And I'm going to give reasons for both, why I think Salkilld could win, why I think Gamrot could win, because I think really it is that close. But one thing that needs to be stated before you go in any analysis, Gamrot's in the Apex. The guy doesn't lose here. They let him out. They kind of let him roam around in Brazil and Miami to kind of see, oh, how's he fare outside of the Apex? You know, he gets subbed by Charles Oliveira, subs Esteban Rivic, looking like a little bit of a wild card. So like, we got to calm Gamrot back down. We got to put him back in the Apex and really show these casuals what this guy is about. And Gamrot's very fucking good. I mean, this guy destroys the majority of prospects. But the question is Quillan Salkilld above the level of the guys that Gamrot destroys, like a Ludovic Klein or an Esteban Rivic? In my opinion, he definitely could be. You know, he definitely could be that kind of level of a guy who can beat a gamer. You know, he's got the nice big right hand front kicks that maybe Gamrot could take him down on, but also Quillan Salkilld can flick the head kick up there. And it will be an interesting chin battle between these guys because Mateusz Gamrot seems to get seemingly dropped in every single fight except like the Charles fight. But he always survives. He has great survivability. Quillan Salkilld, another kind of guy who seems to like kind of get stunned and kind of got dropped by Dariush, but he still has an overall solid chin and good survivability. And people forget, man, I mean, Dariush owned Gamrot, just so you know. Salkilld can scrap. If you're going to get into a scrap with this guy, he will win those moments even when he is in distress. And he has the power and the size advantage and the frame advantage over Gamrot. And also, he has the base to beat a Gamrot in the sense that bigger lightweights have given Gamrot problems. Bigger lightweights who have a grappling base and have power on the feet, whether it's a Dariush. I mean, Dan Hooker doesn't really have either of those things, but he is big. Charles Oliveira, you know what I mean? Guys like that can give him problems and beat him. And Quillan Salkilld is large, has a good grappling base, nice BJJ. Gamrot, I think, in this fight will use his single legs here because that's kind of a bigger weakness of a Quillan Salkilld. He does a better job defending double legs, and we saw, you know, Dariush be able to take him down. I do worry for Quillan if this fight gets into round 4 or 5, because Quillan Salkilld, you know, I think he has had experience in 5-round fights before he came into the UFC, but so far he just hasn't had that. And he has shown a little bit that he can gas when you're looking at that Ashmuz fight, where he kind of tries to wrestle too much and prove that he could wrestle. Maybe that happens here in a Gamrot fight and he slows down, because he's going to have to deal with the relentless pace of a Gamrot who's just going to push it on you and put it on you over the course of 5 rounds. And he will out-scramble you. I know Quillan Salkilld has great scrambling ability and good takedown defense, but Gamrot is still the superior wrestler. And, I mean, I guess Quillan Salkild's BJJ is better, but Gamrot has improved in his BJJ. Showed it against Esteban Rivic, who that might just be attributed to Esteban not having any takedown defense whatsoever. But Gamrot also, I know Quillan Salkilld is going to have the advantage on the feet. He's going to want to keep it on the feet. But Gamrot does have this weird kind of crafty boxing where he has no finishing ability, but he will kind of pop you with some stuff, move around very well, get to his quick takedowns. He is kind of not great to leg kicks though, so if I'm Salkilld, I'm really working leg kicks. We saw Dan Hooker and Charles have success against Gamrot using leg kicks, and keeping Gamrot on the back foot. That's going to be another thing that Quillan Salkild's going to have to do, just pressure Gamrot, because if Gamrot's on the front foot, just pushing Salkilld to the fence, shooting in on him, taking him down relentlessly, it's going to be a long night at the office for Quillan Salkilld. But I will say, even if Quillan gets taken down, he does have nice submissions off his back, whether it's guillotines, triangles. Again, he does have good jiu-jitsu, and maybe he can take Gamrot's back and we see a little Charles II action where he's submitting Gamrot with a rear naked choke, because he does have a similar profile in terms of those bigger guys with power and size at lightweight, again, like a Dariush, a Charles, or a Dan Hooker. Gamrot is so durable, though, that I just think he's going to keep you down and break you over the course of 5 rounds. Again, Salkilld could probably try and bomb him in the pocket, and, you know, as long as he's pushing Gamrot back, he definitely can win this. But I just lean Gamrot because I think this is going to get to round 4. I think Salkilld needs a finish within like the first 3 rounds to win this one. And I think Gamrot will be able to survive long enough, get it to those championship rounds, and break Quillan Salkilld with the pressure and the pace. Again, he's undefeated in the Apex. These are his breeding grounds. It's Gamrot and it's Bilal. Those are the guys who roam around the fucking hallowed grounds of the UFC Apex. Dudes who just live, breathe, and die by the Apex. Although we did just see Apex warrior Bilal Muhammad lose in the Apex against Gabriel Bonfi. Maybe we're going to lose some of our founding fathers of the Apex, but I think Gamrot's going to get this done. Underrated boxing, nice movement, great wrestler, and elite level pressure and pace. It's very close. Quillan got taken down by Dariush, Malarkey, Ashmus, and Beneil took him down twice despite not being a great offensive wrestler. I'm very split here, but I'm going to go Gamrot by a close decision. Originally, I was saying like 50-40. You know what I mean? Quillan Salkilld. But I think Gamrot's going to win this close. Salkilld will have a moment where he probably nearly beats Gamrot. Maybe Gamrot wins a robbery decision. It is more interesting for the division, though, if Quillan Salkilld is able to win this one, though. I mean, be honest. Gamrot's the best of the rest. He's never really going to fight for a belt, no matter how much I tell my friends that Gamrot's going to be a fucking champ. Quillan Salkilld is at least more interesting in the vast storyline of the UFC and the lightweight division in general. But either way, super excited for this one, and here's where the card just falls off. It's not really as much this fight, because Billy Q versus Diego Ferreira is not a bad fight by any means, but it just is a big drop down, step down from a Quillan Salkilld versus Gamrot. Billy Q, I thought he honestly left the UFC. First time back since getting murdered by Cub Swanson, I believe. Diego Ferreira, he got fluked by Alexander Hernandez. Looked every bit of 42, however old he is, and Billy Q is also like 38. So both these guys are so old, you could pick really either one of them, and I wouldn't disagree with you. Billy Quarantillo is probably a little bit more like, not a little bit, he is younger and slightly faster at this point, and Ferreira probably has more power, and Billy Quarantillo is pretty chinny. But again, Diego Ferreira looks so old in his last fight, where I think he did have moments of success where he was surviving, but he just didn't look like the same guy. Again, he's always been underrated. It's been around for forever, fought pretty much everybody, and he really didn't look great in that Hernandez fight. But I think he's just a little bit better of a grappler, can out-scramble you, is bigger, and I don't know. Billy Quarantillo, maybe it's just because I like Diego Ferreira. I'm going to go Diego Ferreira by like decision. He also seems to like just always seems to find ways to win. And again, this is not a fight that you're very confident in either one. But before that Alexander Hernandez fight, I didn't really hate how he had looked. Let's move on to Darren, the Damage Elkins versus Yadier Del Valle. Another weird one. Again, how is this a feature fight? We're moving back in time to 2012, and Darren Elkins is the feature fight. Game's fucking gone. Now, have you heard Darren Elkins talk recently? It sounds like CTA has taken over him. Yadier Del Valle, again, there doesn't need to be much breakdown for this fight. He's just going to get him. Darren Elkins should have retired after the Julian Rosa fight. Looked like garbage in that round 1 Del Valle sub. I mean, Darren Elkins was good at some point. Again, used to be kind of a fun finisher. It's 2026 now. It's over for you, brother. No speed, no durability, no damage. The damage is done on Darren Elkins. Del Valle isn't even that good. I mean, this guy lost to Jordan Levitt. Didn't look good in that one. The Dolgarian fight where Dolgarian threw it, that's his one win in the UFC. And I don't even know why he's such a massive favorite. I get Darren Elkins is old as shit, and he really probably has no chance of winning this one. But Yadier Del Valle is not that good. But I'll go with the Cuban problem by like round 1 submission. Darren Elkins, brother, it's time to hang it up. Let's go into Amanda Lemos versus Alexia, Thainara. Another one that I don't really have to think too long and hard about. I'm going Thainara. She's just going to blob Amanda Lemos. I mean, Lemos has finishing ability at strawweight, but can't stop takedowns. And again, it's just not really great on the feet. Thainara is just going to blob her. It'll probably be boring. They'll probably get booed out of the Apex in front of 20 people. I'm going to Alexia Thainara by unanimous decision. Let's go to Ty Miller, the return of Ty Miller versus Billy Ray Goff. Billy Ray Goff, another guy that I forgot was still in the UFC. And I do kind of feel bad for Billy Ray Goff because he is at least like fairly entertaining, and I don't really think he is that bad whatsoever. But Ty Miller's going to get this one. It's his first fight since he kicked Adam Fugit's ass at UFC 324 first Paramount card and then just kind of disappeared for a while. But he looked very sharp in that one, and I just think he's going to finish him. Billy Ray Goff's a guy who can go through wars and beat you, but Ty Miller has a really long reach. He's big for welterweight, power advantage. I think he's just going to be too much. I think he finds his second round TKO in this one where he's fighting really well behind that jab, finding that straight white. Fuck me. Goff will try mixing in takedowns, leg kicks, elbows on the inside. I just figure he kind of gets pieced up too much with the jab and some of Ty Miller's other weapons like his uppercut and just gets the finish in this one. Billy Ray Goff, kind of a tough return fight for you against Ty Miller. And it's not a gimme for Ty Miller by any means. I mean, this is a step up from Adam Fugit, who's just an absolute can at welterweight. You know, Billy Ray Goff can... You know, he could put in an exciting fight. Let's talk about Stephen Asplund versus Guilherme Pat. Now, if you look at Guilherme Pat, you think this guy is like a killer and he'll rip your head off and he's got all this big knockout power. I used to think that, and then you watch, what was his last fight? The Thomas Peterson fight, where he just kind of looked like garbage in that. And even like the Alan Fry fight before that, he just couldn't get a finish. I watch him and I'm like, he can let his hands go, but he doesn't really do it enough. He doesn't have insane power despite being pretty ripped. I just think Stephen Asplund will break him down and get like a round 3 or a round 2 TKO. Like, Guilherme Pat does have a decent skill set and is a good athlete for heavyweight with a nice jab and knows how to let his hands go at times, but doesn't really do it enough. And to be fair, like, Asplund doesn't exactly have like the perfect game to beat a Guilherme Pat, where he's mostly just a boxer. He's not like a dude who's gonna get into the clinch with you and necessarily like show all this variety in his striking in the clinch or really kick a lot. I feel like if you wanted to give if Stephen Asplund were this guy with this great variety of different moves he could do on the feet, maybe he knocks out Guilherme Pat in one. But I just think he's going to break him down. You know, he's a great boxer, has good takedown defense and grappling defense overall. He'll just break down Guilherme Pat over the course of the fight, land big body shots, land big hooks, has the much faster hands. We know he's going to put on more volume, a crazy pace. I just trust Stephen Asplund, and once he wins, he'll probably put on some Jelly Roll-esque performance on the mic where he's just talking about how he used to be fat and he's not fat anymore, and you should just believe in him for you should just believe in him for not being fat or something anymore. We'll go round 2 TKO for Stephen Asplund. Moving on to the light heavyweight division, Diyar Nurgozhay versus Bruno Lopes. I think it's kind of a guaranteed finish in this one because both these guys just not very good. Bruno Lopes, very chinny. Diyar Nurgozhay, most dudes sub this guy. So if Bruno Lopes gets this fight to the ground, it's probably over. And if Diyar Nurgozhay keeps it on the feet enough, Bruno Lopes will probably get nuked, get stunned way too much on the feet. And I figured Diyar Nurgozhay will just stay calm enough on the feet, land bigger shots on the inside, mixing some head kicks in there, throw a nice overhand where he level changes, better movement than Lopes, and if he gets taken down, it is probably over. I'll go Diyar Nurgozhay by, well, fuck it. We'll go round 1 TKO for Diyar Nurgozhay over Bruno Lopes. Jose Montanha da Silva versus Louie Sutherland. I mean, Jose Montanha da Silva sounds like your generic, like, ChatGPT, generate me a generic Brazilian mixed martial artist name. That's what you would get for this. Louie Sutherland's going to win this one, though. And people forget, man, Tai Tuivasa turned Louie Sutherland into a grappler where he was fucking going for Imanari rolls and sweeps and, fat man rolls. It was the most ridiculous thing you will ever see. Silva, the thing with him is he really hasn't fought anybody like that you even know if they're good. Like, he does seem to be able to grapple, but he just beats up on like random Aztec warriors. And Louie Sutherland's looking like Craig Jones these days with the grappling. I think he wins this one by decision. Maybe he gets subbed. And also his striking, is decent, and apparently he can grapple now. So I'll go Louie Sutherland by decision. I just can't believe I picked Louie Sutherland to win a fight. Manuel Sousa versus Richie Miranda. I'm going with Manoel Sousa here. I think Richie Miranda is actually pretty good too, and this is a good signing, but I think Sousa's just too fast, too strong, too big. Will get a finish in this one. And Richie Miranda, I think he was a former LFA champ. He is very good and has a very well-rounded skill set where he can strike, he can grapple, part of Cub Swanson's bloodline gym, right? That's the name for it. But again, Manoel Sousa has a nasty straight right, nasty hooks. He can leave himself open to get taken down, but he doesn't really get held down. Should be mostly on the feet. Miranda is longer. I think I said Sousa was longer earlier. So he should be able to use his kicks well, and I could see him having success in this fight early. But I just figure the pressure of Manoel Sousa will be too much. He'll land something nasty later in the fight on Richie Miranda somewhere along the fence and get a second round brutal finish in this one over Richie Miranda, who kind of looks like Nick Richards from... who's he on the Suns now? I actually don't know where he is. Let's go on to Miles Johns versus Gianni Vasquez. This fight has changed a couple times, or once he was supposed to fight Chiwiwi's is what's it called? His brother, and then he got herpes or something. Sounds fake. Look it up on Instagram. He got herpes and they wouldn't let him fight. Now we're getting Gianni Vasquez, who lost to Javid Basharat in the decision, and I think won somewhere else on the regional scene. Jesse Rojas, funny enough, though, I will say this, probably better on the feet than his brother, Chiwiwi's. But I think Johns, I'm just going to pick him, power, more experience than Vasquez. Again, not a dude who's super consistent, kind of looked like shit against Daniel Marcos, who is pretty good, and then looked a lot better versus Gene Matsumoto. Should be close. I think, Johns can stuff takedowns. He could wrestle. I'll just take Miles Johns by decision in this one. Moving on to Juliana Miller versus Ravina Oliveira. I'm going to go with Juliana Miller in this one. Again, neither one of these women particularly that great, but I think Juliana Miller has much better grappling. Ravina Oliveira's beat nobody in the UFC, essentially. Miller will probably get outstruck because she looks terrible on the feet, but will get takedowns on Ravina Oliveira, who just can't stop them whatsoever. Not dangerous on the feet. Just it really has nothing. I'll go Juliana Miller by unanimous decision in this one. And then moving on to a fight that I know nothing about. Gigi Canuto, sounds Italian, versus Carol Foro. They both might be Italian, even though they're both repping Brazil. But I'm going to say they're Italian by association. I believe this is supposed to be like is it a tough fight? Like, what's the deal here? Oh, what are people saying? I'll go, I guess I got to go pick against a real Italian. I'll go, Photo. Does she have a lot of finishes? What's her deal? She won the Contender. Okay, no, so she's a Contender Series. We'll just go her by decision. She has some Contender Series experience. Gigi has some LFA experience, but again, I don't really know anything about them. Either way, that is the video. Hope you all enjoyed. Kind of a shorter one because of how garbage this card is. But Gamrot versus Salkilld will be cinema, and I'm really excited for that one. If you're new here, my hair looks like absolute shit. It looks like I'm balding. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The doctor is signing off.